Good afternoon, everyone. This is Ray Kuhl. I'm CEO of PBSI Technology Solutions, and I want to welcome each of you to this security education series in general, specifically to today's webcast where we're going to talk about and demonstrate Dragon Medical. This is intended for those of you who are using Dragon now to be free additional training, because we're going to run through the very most important clinical features that we find a lot of providers miss. For those of you who have not yet seen or not recently seen Dragon Medical, you're in for a treat. In my opinion, as the CEO long-term of a tech company, Dragon Medical is the single best tech product on earth. Hardware, software, any of it. Dragon Medical is fantastic. It does its job every day. So I want to thank our partners and friends at the Academy of Medicine for sponsoring this series and understanding the need for some of this important content. Our goal throughout the series, including today, is to inform and educate, to improve knowledge about electronic security. In today's case, we're going to talk about a specific healthcare product, Dragon Medical, instead of security, and to provide practical information about what can we do if we learn something that we think requires action. So we've already covered the overall security essentials in healthcare. We've gone into some specifics about email security training, which I encourage, if you haven't attended each of these, you'll each receive a link to previous webcasts. Some of these are really important content. We talked about file encryption. Today, our topic is Dragon Medical. In upcoming webcasts, you may still register. We're going to talk about password management, really useful information, tools and tips. Everybody struggles with passwords. We're going to talk about if you have uncertainties about HIPAA risk and where you might have unprotected PHI, an easy and inexpensive way to learn that information. We're going to talk about Windows end of life coming and overall how to identify whether your security is actually working. So today's topic, again, Dragon Medical. Thank you for your attendance. Today's agenda is very short. We're going to go through some new features for those of you who use existing Dragon Medical that have been introduced in the most recent version. Most of our content will be going through a demonstration in a clinical setting of exactly how Dragon works and how you might use it, and we'll talk about costs and options. Those of you who are unfamiliar with Dragon, Dragon is manufactured and distributed worldwide by a public company called Nuance. They own Dictaphone. They are the single dominant market share leader in voice recognition across all industries, but in healthcare, they are really the only game in town. There are hundreds of thousands of physicians and clinicians in the US using Dragon Medical. And when you see it, you'll understand why. It's a fantastic product. So Nuance distributes the product through authorized resellers, and in Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana, PBSI is by far the largest. We have hundreds of clients using all different EHRs, and lots who don't use an EHR, who are using Dragon Medical to dictate into Word or other tools to produce text to document patient encounters. We are an authorized partner. So our role at PBSI is to help clients implement and improve use of Dragon Medical. So we sell Dragon Medical at a discount. You can't buy Dragon Medical on a discount on the internet, but those of us who are authorized resellers, we can offer individual discounts, and the Academy of Medicine provides a perfect vehicle. We offer discounts for Academy members. So we provide online training, on-site training, ongoing support. Our goal is to help clients use this product successfully. So a short overview, those who've used Dragon Medical in the past or have previous versions, the newest version is significantly noticeably faster than the previous version 2. Every release, they continue to improve context interpretation. They've continued to do that. Browser support now has been certified with various browsers and with Windows 10 and the latest versions of Office, all with the goal of eliminating any occurrence of any kind of a delay, slowdown, or stoppage due to other products running on your PCs. Auto training has now been reduced to 0, meaning no new voice training is required. It used to be you took an hour to teach Dragon your voice in context. Now you pick it up, you answer 5 questions, you're off and running. They've included Microsoft microphone source detection now, which is really good. Instead of having to manually change microphones or log out and log back in when you change microphones, it will detect when you have a new microphone and automatically use it. So this is an excellent product, getting better. I'm going to move straight to demonstrating now On your screen, you see a picture of two microphones on the right-hand side of your screen. These are identical functionally to PowerMic 2. Some of you have the long-standing older version. The PowerMic 3 is the newest. They are functionally identical. If you use a PowerMic 2, there is no need to change. These are the preeminent microphones, though, for all clinicians using Dragon. 90-some% of all providers who use Dragon use this microphone. And I've come to learn why. The efficiency of being able to have one hand free while I'm using the on button to have Dragon start listening to me, and just a couple of buttons for next field and previous field, and to open up a dictation box. We don't use a lot of these buttons, but it's really, really efficient to be able to have a hand free and have this microphone that also is very, very sound sensitive, such that a lot of times we're dictating in a noisy environment. We're in a hallway or a lab pass-through or wherever. It is sensitive to direction, so I can be speaking into my microphone and Dragon gets my voice perfectly, even though I'm facing someone across the desk and they're speaking. Dragon hears me and not them. That's because of the microphone I use. Okay, so it's not the only microphone. You can use any microphone on Earth, any Bluetooth headset you can use. If you have the right software, your iPhone, your Android is a microphone. So there are all kinds of choices, but I'll be using this PowerMic, and this is the button I'll be using to turn Dragon on when it begins to listen. So I'm going to be demonstrating, and this is the list of features that I'm going to particularly focus on. These are, to me, you learn these features, you have learned the essentials of Dragon Medical as a clinician. So I'm going to be going back and forth from this screen to Microsoft Word. So I could be dictating into Epic or Allscripts or whatever EHR I have. Dragon's purpose is basically to listen to my voice when I turn it on, and it produces text at the cursor. So you could be in a single field box or a text box. You can be anywhere you want to, or in Microsoft Word, or in Outlook, or in any other software product that runs on a Windows PC, and you'll see what happens when I turn Dragon on. So first, I'm going to pick up my microphone, and I'm going to push that on button. And before I do, I'll just notice my cursor here is circling at the very bottom right-hand corner of my screen. That little red icon is a picture of a microphone not listening to me. When I push the button, that will turn green. Dragon will start listening and it will produce text at my cursor, and here's how it works. Patient is a 47-year-old male presenting today for lower back pain, period. New paragraph. Patient's BP is 210/180, and I'm really concerned about medication dosage, comma, especially Hyzar oral in combination with Lipitor 20 milligrams BID, period. New paragraph. Okay, so the first thing to understand about Dragon is that it is fantastic. And you think, well, Ray must really be good with Dragon because he's used it for a long time. Not at all the case. Dragon worked this well for me first day out of the box. The thing that is incredible is that it gets every context, and you can set Dragon such that instead of turning BID into twice a day, it can, you can make some settings, but Dragon understands clinical context. One of the 5 questions I answer is, what's my specialty? So it also is going to have a bias toward the body parts and the terminology and the clinical conditions and the medications and so forth related to my specialty. So it does a wonderful job understanding context. So you can have a provider who speaks really quickly and it doesn't phase Dragon at all. You'll notice when I started speaking, it paused for just a bit before it started filling in text. Why? That is not Dragon running slowly. If I spoke for a half an hour in a row, it would stay right up with me. But at the very beginning, it's deciding, okay, he's speaking. Is this a command? Is it a set of text I'm supposed to pay attention to? Is it a navigational command like go to bottom or select line? So the information that I'm, one second. Okay, pardon me for that delay. So Dragon is listening first to decide whether I'm giving it text or whether I'm giving it a command. So now I'm going to use my PowerPoint slide, and I'm going to talk about the use of a template and the select command. These are a couple of different features, but I'm going to demonstrate them at the same time. So a template is simply one or more words that is a name for something I've associated text and graphics with, like this, normal exam. Okay, so normal exam might include a whole bunch of things. It could be bolded and highlighted. It might have stopping points, which I'm going to call variable names. In this case, this is the set of text. So now that I've used the template, you see that once I've given a name to something, in this case, normal exam, it fills these things in. Now I'm going to use the select command to change text, and you'll see how this works. Select regular rate and rhythm, unusual heartbeat, select line, all caps that, go to bottom. Okay, so what did I just do? I used the select command to select some text on the screen. So right now I'm selecting text with my cursor, but before, when I used the select command, I selected text with my voice, which is a really, really great way to change text. If you ever hear a complaint about Dragon, particularly with older versions, you might hear somebody say, well, it's hard to edit text. Well, that is text. It is simple and beautiful to edit text. Using and understanding the select command is the key to this. So if I said select, and then I paused a second or two, and then I said something, it would have decided that must not be the select command. So if I have a brief pause, and then the text I want to select, it'll work beautifully. So the key there is decide what you're going to select before you select. So don't say select and then look around on the screen, what was it I was going to change? Decide if I want to change this set of words, I'll do it like this. Select active vowel sounds, unusual vowel sounds, all caps that. And the all caps that, generally, the reason for that is clinicians are used to seeing templated kind of information coming from other clinicians. And so it's really helpful to be able to say, this is something that was different about this particular patient. And if people get accustomed to the fact that when they get referral information or they see dictation from Red, if they know if there's something that's not in the typical template, it will be capitalized. And I can say, all bold that and other things. So the select command, key thing there is select more than one word. Select a phrase, not a word. So don't try and select just the word bilaterally or non-tender. The more you give it, so even if I only wanted to fix one word, I would select 3 words. I'd say select non-tender to palpitation, and it would find it, and then I could fix it or replace it with whatever my voice says. So a couple of key things there. Using the select command turns somebody into a Dragon wizard that otherwise might be saying, God, I'm having a hard time fixing things with my voice. Okay, next field, templates with next fields and next field defaults. So I'm going to clear out my screen with what I've said so far, and I'm going to use a template that has some next fields, my referral letter. So here you see an example of a referral letter or a template that has multiple stopping points. So anytime you see a left and a right bracket, that is a field to fill in. And I'm going to use a button on my microphone to go from field to field to field. And so if you have complex clinical information where the medication dosage or something else is typically variable, then you can have the template stop. And you can see you can put graphics in here. So I'm not an MD, but this would be an example where my John Hancock is stored as the graphic. You can have your entire letterhead with all your graphics and colors stored in here so that in one command, my referral letter, it brings up the entire letter. But what I'm going to demonstrate now is going from field to field. So I'm going to turn my microphone on, and what you'll see is when I start speaking, I'll use a button to go to the next field. So here's how it works. With lower back pain, period. Normal ROS. Select glands denied. Glands, colon, unusual symptoms. All caps that. Patient was observed to be in significant pain, period. Patient describes their pain as 6 out of 10, period. I'm not going to prescribe any medication today, comma, but I want to see the patient in 1 week. Schedule a return visit with 1 week. Okay, so you can see there, I was really tentatively and kind of messing that all up. So I could select this with my voice, but if I wanted to use the select command, select schedule him return visit, schedule the patient to return Okay, and so forth. So you see how it works. What I'm doing here is I'm using a template within a template, or templates within a template, and I'm using a template with stopping points. So I'm going to make a general case also. What you see me doing, actually everything I've demonstrated, it's kind of not exactly why you'd use Dragon. Typically, again, I'm going to clear out what's on my screen here. Typically, the standard parts of an exam, the exam, the review systems, in most EHRs, you're going to, the providers or the nursing staff are going to click the answers to those questions. Where we really are going to use Dragon, mostly where it's going to really help us the most, is the HPI, is the assessment and plan, something where I really want to communicate specifically about this patient and I can just speak. And then there are lots of cases where there are parts of that where I might want to use a template, something like this. Patient was here for a preoperative exam period. We discussed all of the conditions related to surgery, and I made a recommendation for surgery period, new paragraph. Normal consent. That's an idea where, okay, as a part of typical, I don't want to have to dictate this every time, so I have something called normal consent. So now you've realized that there are templates out there with names. So I'm going to talk about a couple of really key things. One is how to create a new template, and then how to find existing templates. These are really, really key. And I want to say, if it seems like Ray's talking about just a ton of different commands and things they need to learn, there are not more than 10 commands, 10 or 15. So there are navigation commands, go to bottom, go to top. There are formatting commands, bold that, underline that. And other than that, there are just a very few commands we're going to learn. Among those that are important, though, are make that a shortcut and open command browser. So where this comes into play, let's say that everything I've done so far here, I did this and I said, yeah, that would make a good template. I don't have a template that has all of this. So once I've just spoken a set of text, and this isn't very complicated, I wouldn't make this into a template, but just bear with me. Let's say I just dictated a couple of paragraphs and I said, yeah, I'm going to have another patient with this condition. I don't want to have to repeat the same stuff. So I'm now going to make this into a new shortcut or a new template. And the command I'm going to use is make that a shortcut, and here's how it works. Make that a shortcut. My operative note. Click Save. Okay, so what just happened? First, I selected the text I wanted to make into a template. I used this command called make that a shortcut. It opened up a box on my screen. Everything, text and graphics included, that I had selected were automatically placed in the body of this template, and the cursor stopped for the name of the template. And so I used my voice to give it a name. I said my operative note, I believe. And then I used another command that I haven't talked about called click. The click command allows me to click something on the screen. So when I said click save, there was a button on the screen called save. The click command works any place in any Windows application. It will look on your screen. If I said click Acrobat or click mailings or click, if there were a button name here, it would look to discern, is there a button or a link on the screen with that name, and it will click it. And I'll use this again for you, but now I've already created this template and I called it my operative note. So I'm going to demonstrate how this works. Today, the patient was here and experienced my normal exam period. Included in my exam was my normal operative note. New paragraph. Normal operative note. Oh, what the heck? I thought I called it normal operative note. What did I call that template? So now I'm going to demonstrate this next feature, which is open command browser. Basically, the question here is, oh, what the heck did I call that template? So I'm going to turn my microphone on. I'm going to say open command browser. So now in alphabetic order are all of the templates that I have created. So what did I call it? My operative, so I'm just looking, my operative note. That's what I called it. Okay. Patient was here and experienced my operative note, period. New paragraph. My operative note. Okay, what just happened? My operative note, when just words in a sentence, that's just text to Dragon. When I, however, paused and said my operative note, the first thing it did is decided, is he starting a sentence or is he giving me the name of a command or a shortcut? And in fact, it found my operative note and it pulled it in. So you see, Dragon's really smart about context and never ceases to amaze me as to how it works. Okay, so another thing that I won't demonstrate, what can I say, that brings up all the commands that I can say. So it tells me my function, my navigating commands and my editing commands. So open command browser tells me the name of all my templates. What can I say tells me all my command names. Okay, I'm going to demonstrate a couple other things here. So I'm in the middle of an exam. I'm talking with the patient. The patient says, well, I saw on the internet, and so some top providers, they want to stay away from this topic, but sometimes we want to say, well, let's just see what it says. I'm going to do a search now that's built into Dragon Medical. I'm sure there are tens of thousands of providers who never know this feature exists, as I didn't until a trainer asked me one day, what do you think about the internet search command? And I said, what are you talking about? Well, here's how it works. If I want to search the internet for a clinical condition, I use a search command called, and here's the format, search website name for condition name. I'll do that now. Search up to date for insomnia. So what did Dragon do? First, it looked on my computer to determine my default browser. In my case, it's Chrome, but if somebody used Internet Explorer or wherever else, it would use that browser. And then it went to find a website called Up to Date. Sure, it found it, and it filled in when I said search Up to Date for insomnia. And now I can start using my click command. So instead of using my mouse to click here, I can use my voice. Click overview of treatment of insomnia in adults. Click risk factors, comorbidities, and notice there were two things, so I could say choose one, choose two, choose one. Anyway, I'm going to stop with my internet search, but you can see, you can search. I'll do one more. Search WebMD for encephalitis. Click drug results for encephalitis, and so forth. So the search command is really, really useful. Okay, I'm going back to my list simply to provide context so that each of you will get the PowerPoint slide deck associated with this, so that you can, if you have providers in your practice who haven't watched this and you want to give them a refresher, you can give them the video or you can give them the slide deck. But I'm going to do another really important feature called hidden mode or dictation box. This is another feature that if a provider doesn't know it's there, they might use Dragon inefficiently for their entire career, and they find out on the last day about this dictation box, they would say, oh my gosh, why didn't I know about that? Why didn't anybody tell me about this dictation box? What it does, I can press a button on my microphone to open up what is called the dictation box. And this box, once I've opened it up, instead of Dragon producing text at the cursor, it produces text and accumulates it inside of this translucent box. And I can change the size and shape and screen location of that translucent box. I'll save it and bring it back up again with a button, and you can see it retains the shape and location of my previous positioning on the screen. So the reason I would use this, if your environment's using Citrix or where speed is an issue, you have a slow internet connection, then you could use it in that environment, but mostly it's for this purpose. I'm a provider using an EHR. I want to go look around in this patient's chart, meaning click here, click there, click on a different tab, and while I'm doing it, I want to start accumulating text. I don't want to have to keep coming back to my HPI box and putting some text there, then go looking somewhere else and come back here and put some more text there. I want to be accumulating the text. So here's how it works. Patient is going to be coming today for a return visit, for annual evaluation of their allergy conditions, period, new paragraph. So I turn my microphone off, but let's just pretend that I went and clicked somewhere else in my EMR, and now I'm looking at their previous labs. Patients' labs have been trending downward, and we want to really focus on cholesterol discussion today, period, new paragraph. And then I'm going to go look around someplace else, and I look at their previous family history. I want to make sure and discuss patient's living condition and whether their family situation's been resolved, period. And then I can continue to do this for as long as I want to, and then I can either use a button to recover all my text, or I can use my voice, transfer text. And with that, things that I've accumulated are transferred to wherever I want. So it's really useful to be able to accumulate text, much more efficient for me as a provider, and put it down where I want. Okay. Sorry. So we're almost finished. A couple other things. I'm going to do some You think you have a provider who has really poor speech habits? I don't think they're going to be worse than this. I'm going to butcher some text. Pardon my phraseology, but you'll see what I mean. Dragon doesn't always do this perfectly, but it's unbelievable at taking poor speech patterns and turning it into what's intended. So here I go. Patient is a 54-year-old man whose primary problem is in difficult speech patterns, period. Okay, so you can see not perfect, but then I can use my select command to fix whatever, but you can really speak poorly, and it gets rid of duplicate words. It does all kinds of things to mitigate the voice patterns which most of us exhibit at certain points. So store repetitive formatting, use a roaming profile. These are things that there's no expense in having Dragon set up in certain ways. Have your power mic set such that the button turns it on instead of the default, which is push to talk and hold the thing down. So there are some settings. The reason for mentioning this is if a provider is using Dragon and suffering through some inefficiency difficulties, they may never know unless they're exposed to the fact that there's another way to do it. These are things we set up for clients, no charge. It's simply the expertise required to help we bring to bear. So what I want to say about Dragon is whenever I encounter somebody who's using a current version of Dragon and they say anything other than this is fantastic, I say, when have you been trained? How recently? How much did you pay attention? Would you value some training? And I don't believe in hundreds of providers I've ever heard someone after a training session respond other than, oh my gosh, I had no idea. Thank you very much. Training with somebody who really knows Dragon is a really worthwhile thing. So you spend $140 for an hour online training session and less than that if you're an experienced provider. So today, hopefully this recording that I'm doing and that you can pass on to providers, they watch this half-hour recording and maybe they don't need a trainer. That's kind of the goal for today's session. But generally speaking, a trainer is one-on-one with a provider, providers using the microphone, trainers watching their screen and listening to him. We do this in person, we do it by internet. Highly encouraged training. Okay, how much does Dragon cost? So there is a subscription model. I'm going to talk about the more traditional boxed model where you're going to spend $1,600 on a copy of Dragon. We discount it for Academy members. You're going to buy one of these power mics and you can get discounts on these too. You're going to pay for either some on-site training and or some online training. You're going to buy an upgrade to the next version when it comes out in the next 5 years. I'm going to say over 5 years, you'll have spent $3,000 per speaker if they're well-trained and continually supported. You don't look at this as, I think, proper thinking. You look at this like a purchase of a PC or a piece of equipment for clinical use. It's not an expense of $3,000 in that month. You're going to use this, I'm saying, 60 months, $3,000 your total expense. You're going to have spent on average $50 a month. A typical clinician, reducing typing, eliminating transcription, eliminating the time to review transcription, cost of transcription, even if the cost is zero, the net savings compared to the cost of $50 a month, I'm saying on average $350 to $950 a month additional profit to the practice. Dragon reduces typing. It's 3 or 4 times the fastest typing and really effective. So I want to thank you for your attendance. We're finished with content. I hope this has been valuable. I will stay connected for questions, but I just want to say thank you again to the Academy for sponsoring this training. Actually, we're doing the training for free, but it's in recognition that clients of the Academy can really benefit from some additional information and services, and PBSI supports so many providers in the local greater Cincinnati area. This is something we do quite happily. So thank you for your attendance. Hope everybody has a good day. We are finished with our Dragon Medical content.